The cameras loved her smile. Her stomach was a battlefield. To stay thin, she swallowed a living worm. It grew inside her. It fed on her food. It made her hair fall out. Her skin turned gray. The studio told her, "Lose 5 more pounds." So she swallowed another one. This is not a horror movie. This was real life. These were the most famous women in the world. And no one saved them. Not the directors, not the doctors, not the friends who watched them die. This is the darkest secret of old Hollywood. Number 1, Sally Rand, the dancer who fainted on stage. Sally Rand was not just an actress, she was a legend. In the 1930s, she invented the fan dance. She wore huge white feathers. She moved slowly. Men paid thousands to watch her. Her waist was only 22 inches. That is smaller than a child's backpack. How did she stay that thin? She swallowed tapeworm eggs every 6 months. For 2 years, Sally looked perfect, but inside, her body was screaming. The worm grew 7 feet long. It wrapped around her small intestine. It stole every vitamin. Sally became weak. Her beautiful face turned yellow. Her eyes had dark circles. She slept 14 hours a day, still tired. One night in 1934, Sally was performing in Chicago. She did her fan dance. Halfway through, her vision went black. She collapsed on stage. The audience thought it was part of the show. They clapped. But Sally did not get up. Backstage, a doctor found her unconscious. He rushed her to the hospital. An X-ray showed the worm. It was so long it showed up on the film like a white snake. The surgery took 4 hours. Doctors pulled out the worm in pieces. They said Sally's blood had almost no iron left. Another month, and her heart would have stopped. Sally survived. She lived to be 75 years old, but she never danced again. She told a reporter, "I gave my waist to a worm. It gave me nothing back but nightmares." You can watch Sally in Bolero, 1934, with George Raft and Carole Lombard. The film is available today. Number 2, Lillian Russell, the starlet who couldn't stop eating. Lillian Russell was America's sweetheart in the 1910s and 1920s. She sang, she danced, she had a voice like honey. But the studio said she was too round. Her hips were wide, her cheeks were full. The head of the studio pulled her aside. He said, "Lose 20 pounds or lose your contract." Lillian cried in her dressing room. Then she drove to Tijuana. She bought 3 capsules of tapeworm eggs. She swallowed the first one that night. Within 3 weeks, she felt different. Always hungry, ravenous. She could eat a whole chicken, then a cake, then bread. She never felt full. That was the worm. It was eating half her food. Her stomach sent signals to her brain saying, "Empty." So she ate more and more and more. Lillian stayed thin. The studio was happy, but Lillian was miserable. She ate 10 times a day. She woke up at 3 a.m. hungry. She kept food under her bed. Her weight went up and down like a roller coaster. The worm grew inside her. At night, she felt something moving under her ribs. She told her best friend, "There is a stranger living in me. I can feel it turn around." In 1925, Lillian got very sick. She could not keep water down. A doctor gave her the death pill for the worm. She took it. The worm died. Then her body pushed it out. It was 9 feet long. Lillian screamed when she saw it. She quit Hollywood 6 months later. She said, "I would rather be fat and alive than thin and dead." She lived to be 61, but she never swallowed another capsule. Her story is told in the biopic Lillian Russell, 1940, available on DVD. Number 3, Marie Provost, the silent film beauty who died alone. Marie Provost was a bubbly blonde star in the 1920s. She made 20 movies. Men loved her. Women wanted to be her. She had a round, cute face. The studio hated her face. They said, "Your cheeks are too puffy. Lose weight or we will find another girl." Marie was already thin, but she was desperate, so she swallowed 3 tapeworms over 2 years. Each worm grew longer than her arm. The first worm was 5 feet, the second was 7 feet, the third was 8 feet. They all lived inside her at the same time, 3 strangers fighting for her food. Marie's body could not keep up. Her stomach bloated like a balloon, but her arms and legs stayed bone-thin. Doctors call this worm belly. It is a sign of severe infection. Marie had constant pain, sharp pains, dull aches, burning feelings. She vomited after almost every meal. Sometimes she vomited blood. Her hair fell out in clumps. She wore wigs on set. The studio did not care. They just gave her more diet pills. Speed pills, sleeping pills, anything to keep her working. One day, Marie fainted on set. She fell face first into a table. She broke 2 teeth. The director yelled, "Get her up. We are losing light." A makeup artist helped Marie stand. Blood ran down her chin. The director said, "Fix your face. We shoot again in 10 minutes." Marie did not cry. She was too tired to cry. In 1929, talkies killed Marie's career. She could not get work. She had no money. The worms were still inside her. She could not afford the death pills. She stayed in a small apartment in Hollywood. Her neighbors heard her crying at night. On January 21st, 1937, Marie died alone. She was 38 years old. A neighbor found her 3 days later. The autopsy found 2 live worms still inside her. They were eating her even after death. You can watch Marie in The Racket, 1928, available online. Number 4, Joan Crawford, the Oscar winner who hid her pills. Joan Crawford was one of the biggest stars ever. She won an Oscar for Mildred Pierce. She was powerful, rich, famous. But even Joan was afraid. The studio told her she was getting thick. She was not thick. She was normal. But normal was not allowed. So Joan kept a small box in her medicine cabinet. Her daughter, Christina, found it years later. Inside were dried tapeworm capsules. Joan would say to her friends, "Thin is the only shape that works." She ate 1 meal a day, a small piece of fish, some lettuce, no dressing. Then she swallowed her capsule. She did this for 15 years, 15 years of worms, 15 years of hunger. Joan looked perfect on screen, sharp cheekbones, flat stomach, long neck, but off screen her body was falling apart. Her teeth became loose. Dentists said she had no calcium left. The worms took it all. Her hair thinned so much she wore hair pieces. She was always cold. Even in summer she wore sweaters. She slept under 3 blankets. These are all signs of long-term worm infection. In 1955, Joan almost died. She had a seizure on a movie set. An ambulance took her to the hospital. Doctors found severe anemia. Her blood had almost no red cells. They asked, "Have you taken any strange diet pills?" Joan said no, but her daughter later wrote the truth. Joan had been swallowing parasites for decades. She lived to be 69 years old, but her body was damaged forever. Joan made over 80 films, including Grand Hotel, 1932, The Women, 1939, and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, 1962. Most are streaming today. Number 5, Baby Peggy, the child star who cried. Alone. Baby Peggy was only 6 years old. Her real name was Diana Sarah Carey. She was one of the biggest child stars of the 1920s. She made over 150 movies. She earned $1.5 million a year. That is $25 million today. She was just a little girl, and her mother forced her to swallow tapeworm eggs. Let that sink in. A 6-year-old child with a living parasite inside her tiny body. Her mother wanted her to look lean on screen. No child fat, no round cheeks, no soft belly. Baby Peggy was already thin. But her mother said, "Famous girls are hungry girls." Every morning her mother opened a capsule. She mixed the eggs into Baby Peggy's orange juice. The little girl drank it. She did not know what it was. Soon her stomach hurt all the time. She cried from the pain. The studio told her to be quiet. "Little stars don't cry," they said. So Baby Peggy stopped crying. She learned to smile through the cramps. She learned to act happy while something grew inside her. At night, she felt wiggling. She told her mother, "Something is moving in my tummy." Her mother said, "It is your imagination." It was not imagination. It was tapeworms, 3 of them, growing inside a first grader. Baby Peggy survived. She stopped taking the capsules when she was 9. But the damage was done. Her stomach never worked right again. She had pain her whole life. She later wrote a book. In it, she said, "I thought everyone had a worm. I thought pain was normal for little girls." She lived to be 96 years old. She never had children. The worms had made her body unable to carry a baby. She died in 2020. Her story is told in the documentary Baby Peggy, The Elephant in the Room, 2012, available today. Number 6, Anna Pavlova, the ballerina who died on tour. Anna Pavlova was not an actress, but Hollywood stars copied everything she did. She was the most famous ballerina in the world. She created the dance The Dying Swan. She was light as a feather. How did she stay so light? She swallowed tapeworms. She called them "my little secret." Anna started the Parasite diet in 1920. She was 39 years old. She wanted to keep dancing into her 50s. The worms worked. She stayed thin, but she grew weaker. In 1931, Anna was on tour in the Netherlands. She felt a terrible pain in her side. She could not stand up straight. A doctor came to her hotel room. He felt her belly. He went pale. The worms had multiplied. One tapeworm can lay thousands of eggs. Those eggs hatch inside you. Anna had over 30 worms living inside her. They had blocked her intestines completely. Nothing could pass through. She was starving to death, even though she was eating. The doctor said she needed surgery immediately. But Anna refused. She said, "If I have surgery, I cannot dance for a year. I would rather die than stop dancing." She was serious. She got on a train to the next city. The pain got worse. She collapsed at the train station. They rushed her to a hospital, but it was too late. The worms had torn a hole in her intestine. Infection spread through her body. Anna Pavlova died 5 days later. She was 49 years old. Her last words were, "Play my swan music." They did, and she died listening to her own dance. The autopsy found 42 tapeworms inside her. Some were 12 feet long. Archival footage of Anna's performances exists in a 1935 documentary preserved in film archives today. Number 7. Barbara Lamar, the girl who was too beautiful. Barbara Lamar was called the girl who was too beautiful. Men wrote poems about her. Studios fought over her. MGM signed her to a huge contract. Then they put her on a strict diet. She was already thin. Her waist was 23 inches. but the studio wanted 20 inches. That is the size of a jar of peanut butter. Barbara was desperate to keep her contract. She swallowed her first tapeworm in 1924. She was 28 years old. Within months, she got weaker and weaker. On set, she fainted 3 times in one day. The director laughed. He said, "Get her some orange juice. She is just dramatic." Barbara was not dramatic. She was dying. She started coughing up blood. The worms had moved from her intestines into her lungs. That is rare, but it happens. The worms eat through the intestine wall. They travel through your blood. They nest in your liver, your lungs, even your brain. Barbara's lungs were full of worms. She could not breathe lying down. She slept sitting up in a chair. In 1925, Barbara went to the hospital. Doctors opened her chest. They found worms wrapped around her right lung. They removed what they could, but the damage was permanent. Barbara never recovered. She died on January 30th, 1926. She was only 29 years old. MGM replaced her within 1 week. A new girl, a new face. The studio did not even send flowers to her funeral. You can watch Barbara in The Three Musketeers, 1921, and The Prisoner of Zenda, 1922, both available through Film Archives. Number 8. Alma Rubens, the Western star who wrote her pain. Alma Rubens was a silent film beauty. She rode horses. She played tough women. But inside, she was breaking. She swallowed her first tapeworm in 1925. Then she could not stop. She became addicted to the feeling of being empty. She swallowed more worms, then more. She started taking other pills to feel better. Pain pills, sleeping pills, pills for her nerves. Her body broke down completely. She went to the hospital 4 times in 2 years. Each time, doctors pulled out worms. Each time, she promised to stop. And each time, she went back to Hollywood and swallowed more capsules. The studio knew. They did nothing. They just said, "She looks thin. Keep filming." Alma wrote in her diary. We found it years later. She wrote, "I hate my body. I hate the way it looks. I hate the way it feels. I will kill anything inside it, even myself, especially myself." She wrote about the worms moving under her skin. She wrote about the nightmares. She wrote about the hunger that never ended. In 1931, Alma's liver failed. The worms had destroyed it. She turned yellow. Her eyes were the color of lemons. She died on January 21st, 1931. She was 33 years old. Her diary was published after her death. In it, she begged young actresses to run away from Hollywood. "Do not let them touch you," she wrote. "Do not let them feed you poison. Go home. Be safe. Be alive." No one listened. Alma's films include The Birth of a Nation, 1915, and Showboat, 1929, available today. Number 9. Mabel Normand, the comedienne who could not stop shaking. Mabel Normand made people laugh. She was Charlie Chaplin's best friend. She directed her own movies. She was funny and smart, but she was also terrified. The studio said her face was too round for comedy. They wanted her cheekbones to cut glass. So Mabel swallowed her first parasite at 22 years old. She was so thin that her ribs showed through her dresses. The studio loved it. They put her in more movies. They called her the skeleton with a smile. But Mabel could not stop shaking. Her hands trembled during every scene. The director had to edit around her shaking. She had constant diarrhea. She lost so much water that her kidneys started to fail. Once, during a romantic scene, a worm crawled out of her mouth, right on camera. The director yelled, "Cut!" He pulled Mabel aside. She thought he would help her. Instead, he whispered, "Get a doctor tonight, but do not miss filming tomorrow. We are on a schedule." Mabel nodded. She went to a doctor that night. He gave her the death pill. The worm died. But the damage was done. Mabel's heart was weakened. Her nerves were shot. She died on February 22nd, 1930. She was only 37 years old. Charlie Chaplin cried at her funeral. He said, "Hollywood killed her, not the worms. Hollywood." Mabel directed and starred in Mabel's Strange Predicament, 1914, with Chaplin, available through Silent Film Online. Number 10, Louise Brooks, the survivor, who spoke the truth. Louise Brooks was different. She was smart, brave, angry. She refused to swallow worms. She watched her friends die one by one. Sally, Marie, Barbara, Alma, Mabel. She went to their funerals. She held their mothers' hands. Then she went home and wrote everything down. In her memoir, Louise wrote these exact words: "Hollywood is not a town. It is a cage. They feed you poison and call it beauty. They put worms in your stomach and call it a diet. Then they bury you and find a new girl. No one mourns. No one learns. The machine just keeps going." Louise spoke out in the 1950s. No one believed her. They said she was bitter. They said she was jealous. But Louise kept talking. She gave interviews. She wrote articles. She told the world about the parasite capsules, about the studio doctors who watched women die, about the funerals with no flowers. Louise Brooks lived to be 78 years old. She died in 1985. Before she died, she said, "I'm not lucky. I'm just stubborn. I refuse to be eaten. But I watch the worms eat my best friends, and I will never forgive Hollywood for that. Never." Louise's masterpiece, Pandora's Box, 1929, is available as a Criterion Collection 4K restoration. Diary of a Lost Girl is also streaming. The studio system was not a family. It was a machine. It ate young women and asked for more. The parasites were just one secret. There were hundreds more. Forced acts, broken bones, tragic ends. Hollywood wanted this forgotten. They burned records. They paid off doctors. They let the worms win. But we remember. We remember Sally fainting. We remember Baby Peggy crying. We remember Anna dying alone in a foreign country. The dead cannot speak, but we can. Share this video. Subscribe for more truth. Golden Era history for the ones who never got to grow old.